Let's see what this is. Legal Eagle. XQC is stealing content and so are most reaction streamers. Oh shit! 643,000 views, uploaded 1 day ago. Some reactions are garbage. Okay.
Streamers are being so lazy, it might be illegal. That's right, professional live
True.
streamer XQC is facing accusations of stealing content for his own reaction videos while making a complete mockery of other people's intellectual property rights. Oh,
Forget legality, it is extremely blatant. It's extremely blatant. If we're gonna have property rights and intellectual property law, just fucking off and streaming a video that's someone else's intellectual property that someone else owns the copyright of, should be illegal, if it isn't.
hold on. This part's great. Man, I love this guy. Welcome back, Legal Eaglets. Today it's time to think like a lawyer because we're going to be covering one of the most misunderstood aspects of copyright law.
I was gonna chime in and say he's gonna talk about fair use. Let's go. I've got the subtitles on. It's not as impressive as if the subtitles are on.
Fair use. So hold on, because it depends. But for those not in the know, XQC is one of the most popular and highest paid internet personalities. Over the past decade, the 27-year-old French-Canadian has...
Sorry to interrupt again. What is it? Is it we're gonna come on to the, is this video gonna be all about, is it gonna go into the depth of the 5 pillars, not of Islam, but of fair use, and how it can't be defended on or condemned on any one single one, but like it's a balance and you consider all of them, it gets complex, but you don't really know until it's been through court because it's a defense. Is that going to be the meme? Is that going to be the meme? That it's a defense, so you don't really know until it's been through court, but also it's very complex. Let's see.
Cultivated a dedicated following for his unique style of unfiltered commentary for video game live streams and YouTube videos. His most recent controversy kicked off when he uploaded a video to his YouTube channel showing himself reacting to another creator's video on the JFK assassination.
I never watched this video.
But while reaction videos typically involve lots of pausing and constructive commentary on selected clips,
of course,
XQC's video is almost exclusively just him watching the entirety of another person's 90-minute video. This triggered an influx of backlash from other YouTubers who accused XQC of free riding off of another creator's hard work, all while reaping financial rewards via clicks and ad revenue.
XQC is saying next to nothing. Again, it's just like, wow, this video is popular, so I'm gonna sit in the corner and my audience will do.
This, I think, gets... Okay. So with XQC, it's super blatant, or what he's done and what other people have done. It's super blatant, but something I'm always hyper aware of is surely the content of what you're saying itself. Say that. I've been cursed with the ghost of XQC. Sorry. Surely the actual content of what you're saying matters too. For example, imagine you're interrupting every 10 seconds and you're going, cool. Let it play a bit. Cool. Let it play a bit. Cool. Let's say hypothetically I had in my past pirated movies on the internet. I had downloaded illegally movies. And the people who had distributed it had inserted ads or messages. Those surely wouldn't have made it fair use, even though they were incredibly in your face and throughout the whole movie. The content itself of the commentary, the content of the commentary itself probably matters as well. And I imagine a lot of people who do reaction stuff and criticize XQC's behavior. No idea about this guy. Not talking about this guy, to be clear. Maybe he does. Could be barely better than XQC in that they're going through the motions. They're saying stuff, but it doesn't do anything.
Do basically whatever I say, and I'll say it next to nothing and make free money.
And to make matters worse, sometimes he even keeps the video playing while he leaves to use the bathroom or make lunch.
Is Tim having a schizo episode? I heard talk of ads embedded in coins. No, I'm talking about pirated movies that have ads slipped into them.
Do not post this to YouTube for the lack of boom!
And of course, XQC is not the only streamer who reacts to other people's videos in real time with almost no commentary. It's all over the place.
Come on, man. Did you see that Huel drink? Don't let Huel down. Huel is a fantastic product. We need a Huel Rogue Energy crossover.
Now,
on,
XQC
man.
claims he's done nothing wrong and accused his critics of being envious of his success. Now, as a YouTuber who has produced my own share of reaction videos and had their videos reacted to by others, this is an issue that is near and dear to my heart, and more importantly, my wallet. And the transformative nature of fair use is one of the most misunderstood areas of the law on the internet. So today, let's take a deep dive into one of the most heated debates on online.
Oh, so this is going to specifically be about the transformative nature, not about like a justification that it's, for educational purposes or it's in the public interest to share it and tell people what's happening. Okay,
And content
cool.
creation and fair use that's happening right now. Now, Felix Lengyel, better known as XQC, has spent nearly a decade building a devoted online following as a former top-ranked competitive Overwatch player turned streamer and
Tank main doesn't count.
content creator. And on the live streaming platform Twitch and now Kick, XQC regularly chats with fans, hosts reality shows, and broadcasts himself playing video games.
And sometimes watches Marvel movies, is my understanding.
XQC has also blurted out homophobic, sexist, or otherwise bizarre comments during live streams. But ironically, the famously outspoken XQC now finds himself under fire for the things he doesn't say during his reaction videos.
Snap.
Now, most recently, XQC kicked the hornet's nest on July 24th, 2023, when he posted a video onto his YouTube channel titled The Kennedy Assassination, XQC Reacts to Lemino. But XQC's video is not so much a reaction video as it is mostly just him watching an entire 90-minute JFK documentary in
Like when you have, like when you hypothetically may have, when you were younger, downloaded a movie off of, I don't know, LimeWire, and it has someone's branding on it.
silence. A number of YouTubers accused XQC of stealing the content of a fellow creator while providing almost zero commentary that would make the video his own. Neo, a YouTuber who creates educational videos, who you can also find on Nebula, criticized XQC for leaving the room 5 seconds into reacting to Neo's video and only coming back 10 minutes later, which Neo described as XQC, quote, making a mockery out of the fact that he is not reacting.
So it's art. That changes how I look at it. What if this itself is it? What if XQC is an accelerationist who really cares about getting rid of React content?
Now, addressing the backlash to the Kennedy video, XQC asserted in a live stream that he paused like crazy and added a lot of commentary to very generous statements.
Bro, I paused like crazy, added a lot of commentary. Chat, the reason why I didn't commentate is that streams are content. Streams in their entirety are content.
He then claimed he only rushed through because his chat was, quote,
Streams are
getting
shit
mad.
content.
And after going on one of
Yeah, if you're gonna wait, it depends on the lens. Depends on the lens. A stream is never gonna be like, what a masterpiece. If you're like a 9 to 5 streamer or a 3 to 11 streamer, there are gonna be perhaps chunks where you can have something planned or something special happens, but by and large, the content itself, grading it in the same way you would a movie or a show, pretty bad, but it is its own thing. However, I have no idea how that being true is relevant to anything XQC was accused of or insulted for doing. Very strange.
his trademark rants, he added, quote,
Yes, a lot of it is just watching it. Because that's what chat wants. If I commentate too much, chat gets bored.
now we'll talk about legal defenses.
Oh no! You have to talk as much as possible, man. Maybe his chat. I guess his chat is both huge and fairly unique, which is interesting. Bizarre defense though. That's a hard argue that he is just pirating it. He doesn't say anything because the chat's there for the original content. He has to be an accelerationist. XQC has to be deliberately doing things as badly as possible to try and get change faster.
in the future, but this is just classic, the chat got bored, so it's okay to commit copyright infringement. I'm sure he's fine here. But on Twitter, XQC hit back at some ordinary gamers, writing, quote, I'm watching a vid I like to my people, that's it. Whatever that means. Now, XQC
He's watching a vid he likes to you. He's watching a video to you, Dementoid.
reacted to Neo's response with this incomprehensible video.
Chat, did this get re-uploaded? Chat, is this video re-uploaded or not? Wait, it didn't. Wait, it didn't. So what's the problem? So, what's the problem then? People say that it's when you upload it to the same platform, and that's the problem.
Yeah, so what I think he's trying to say, and don't quote me on this, is that he told his editor or his social media guy not to republish his live stream to YouTube. thinking that that somehow absolved him of copyright infringement.
Not necessarily. I think, especially with big streamers, they're used to it being a matter of social court rather than actual law. Probably talking about, yo, you're cool with it. People are cool with it because I'm over here and I'm doing it like this. I don't think he means it's legal because I'm doing this. I think he's talking about, why do you have a problem with it? You weren't going to do it on Twitch anyway. I don't think he means legally. Also true. People have explicitly said that, Angramstein, that they're okay with it being like that. I don't know if this particular person whose video XQC watched is okay with it, but I do not think he was talking about being legal. He wasn't trying to defend it legally.
That's not the case. Now, what this gibbering mouther fails to understand is that it's copyright infringement whether it takes place during a live stream or during a video on demand or a re-upload. It doesn't matter whether it's live or not. It's still copyright infringement. It just might be harder to actually find if there's no actual recorded video of it, if it was a live stream that just went off into the ether.
And the copyright owner, he might be correct that the person who owns the rights might not care to go after him for it, even though they could, which I feel is more what he was talking about.
And actually, when XQC was called out during the live stream of reacting to Neo's video
by Neo
for the lack of commentary, XQC just gets angry and makes some stuff up, talking about some nonsense reaction about the metal of the pillars and stuff.
Metal pipes, cement, football, goal at the back. Wait a minute, chat. Hold up. I think this is a very rare copper alloy right there, chat.
But it highlights the lack of actual commentary. You can't just describe what you're seeing and call it commentary. That's not going to qualify.
For example, you could criticize the person's approach or what they're saying, like I did towards Legal Eagle, because I think he's mischaracterizing what XQC was saying. He has good reason to do that, to make it, because he wants it to obviously be focused on law. He's saying XQC was wrong, but I don't think XQC was saying that it's not infringement, just that he'll get away with it. It's okay. Not in a legal sense, but in the sense that it's socially accepted. The other person will accept it.
And it highlights the lack of anything of value
it's
that's
not
being
bad
added,
between
and the
us.
lack of transformativeness of these reactions. But XQC described some ordinary gamers' take at...
And I'm super glad Legal Eagle is saying this. A lawyer is talking about this because so much, almost every time, people talk about reactions, especially when there's such an extreme example of XQC not reacting at all, people talk about it in terms of pure quantity of commentary, pure volume. And it's rarely touched on. I guess it was with the Sniper Wolf stuff, but for her, there's also a lack of it. The actual content and the function that commentary performs as contributing to whether or not it could stand the test of is fair use of defense in court or not, which is a hypothetical. You ideally, as a React streamer, what you want to do is carefully pick and choose, and ideally just behave in such a way that the person who owns the copyright would never come after you to begin with. But at the same time, I think if you bear the concept of fair use in mind, that's a good general, almost ethical guideline, because it's just not cool to use people's shit in such a way that you're replacing their own uploader. That's just not cool.
As, quote, unfounded criticism full of personal attacks, and asked some ordinary gamers why this triggers him so much. Now, speaking as a lawyer and YouTuber, the reason this triggers some people, especially content creators, is that XQC seems to be
One might argue anything XQC says cannot be commentary, as no one can understand him. Nice frag.
Basically stealing other people's hard work under the guise of creating a reaction video, which we'll talk about whether it's a reaction or not. But besides the legality of it, there are a wide variety of attitudes toward reaction content in the streaming community itself.
True, but give me 1 second as well. That's what makes actual React stuff spooky, because you want it to be transformative, because you want to do something with it. It can be quite hard to on the spot approach what you're seeing in such a way as to make it to my standards, obviously, subjectively, as someone who's not a lawyer, on the fly, come up with commentary on the spot that would fit the criteria, right? versus planning a response. That's why normally if I'm going to do a react, I'm going to be aiming for a video I know is going to piss me off and I'm going to disagree with, so that I know, even though I don't know the content of the video exactly, I know I'm going to have commentary that's going to be critical. Videos like this, little bit spooky to start watching, right? Because what if I just like don't know anything? Because we're listening to an expert. What if I don't know anything and I agree with everything he's saying and I have no problems? And I have no way to elaborate. I would have to just abort. Because it's like, I can't transform this.
Ethan Klein, a YouTuber and co-host of the H3 podcast, has emerged as a prominent voice on fair use and one of the fiercest critics of non-reactive content creators. And on the August 7th episode of the H3 podcast, Klein and XQC debated what counts as fair use with respect to hosting.
But what if I had nothing to say? I guess I could try and I could scramble. I could scramble and talk about the composition of the shots, the reliance on the appearance of authority. You can argue he poisons the well. You can also, I would have to see how he approaches other people. It could just be a matter of style and humor, though. A lot of the stuff that could be considered poisoning the well.
XQC accused Klein of doing the same thing by featuring smaller creators' content on his platform.
You keep saying that.
You're doing it.
Not proven.
You're doing it. You call me a thief piece of when you're doing it.
You haven't proven that. I don't know why you keep saying that.
However, a key difference is that H3 rarely plays a video in its entirety, and XQC asserted that his live reactions give exposure to smaller creators, which set up a furious response from Klein.
Nice try. You literally do it to enrich yourself. You're a multimillionaire, and you steal content from small creators, and you don't give a about their rights or what they want. You're not creating anything big for anyone. You're just taking attention and views for yourself, and you don't give a about the consequences of that. It's not.
It's so complex because there are so many different ways in which you can be doing something legitimately, right? That is so tied to this one avenue, because sometimes what you're going to be commenting on and relying on fair use to defend you if need be in court is going to be something that you are absolutely trying to tear to fucking shreds and you want to righteously hurt the originator of. So what Ethan's saying makes sense in response to XQC saying it's good for people. He's trying to refute that and say, no, you're not doing it because it's good for them. You're doing it to enrich yourself. But even then, I'm not sure that motivation is relevant. That seems like fluff. You could be doing it purely selfishly and have it still be okay. It's too complicated for internet people to argue over.
Your decision to make that for other people's property.
Now, the debate devolved into finger-pointing and insults with Klein cutting off the stream, but not before XQC asserted people would rather watch him do the worm than watch Klein's podcast, and he then did so.
Okay, sure.
Personally?
I mean, that's content, man. It's original content, at least. Yes, do that, bro.
I would watch XQC doing that for a couple hours instead of an H3 podcast, to be honest. I wouldn't want to watch either. I would pick the one I could sort of blank out as opposed to the one that would actively damage me psychologically.
And in the wake of all of this controversy, YouTuber Meat Canyon created a parody of XQC in a video he called The Tragedy of a Reaction Streamer, in which XQC is portrayed as a Smaug-like monster, and then things got meta when XQC reacted to the video by barely reacting. And then things got really meta when Meat Canyon reacted to XQC's reaction by barely reacting. Though ironically, Meat Canyon's reaction is probably the one that's most likely to qualify as fair use, because under some circumstances, parody can be fair use.
Isn't it way more complicated than that? I feel like he's dumbing it down for the audience and not actually talking seriously from a place of expertise. Because if you're going to stretch parody that hard, couldn't you stretch it that hard for XQC starting to play the video and walking away? And that absolutely functioned as an effectively political statement, given who saw it, the effect it had, the way people understood it.
Of course, copyright can be hard. It's why you need a good lawyer. But if you want a great lawyer, my firm, the Eagle Team, can help. If you or a loved one has suffered from cancer, suffered an injury or death in the family,
I'm not touching a legal firm called Eagle Team with a YouTuber as its face, no matter what. You could actually be the best in the world, not touching that. Don't believe it.
or were involved in a car crash, we can represent you or help find you the right attorney who can. Just click on the link in the description for a free consultation with my team. Because you don't just need a legal team, you need the Eagle team. So
if you would, oh my God, if you would buy into, if this ad convinces you to use them, you're not capable to consent to someone legally representing you.
Link below. Now back to thieving streamers. And this is a perfect opportunity to talk about one of my very favorite cases that actually involves Ethan Klein. It was one of their biting reaction videos that landed them in federal court. Because in February of 2016, Ethan and Hila posted a video mercilessly mocking the video of another fellow YouTuber, Matt Hosenseide. Frankly, they played almost the entire video itself while they were commentating on it.
I feel so objectified.
You can have me.
Holy f***.
Of course.
And it's just that easy, baby.
And in response, Hosenseide, known online as Matt Haas, sued the pair in federal court for copyright infringement and DMCA
If that's representative of their video, I don't know, man. How far away from XQC walking out of the door is it?
violations. And in the original complaint, Haas accused the Kleins of reproducing virtually all of the work as, quote, nothing more than a prop in their comedy routine. And after the Kleins...
That feels like a fuck up. I am not a lawyer, but he's minimizing the amount of what they put out there that is his work. He's minimizing the degree to which what they put out is just his stuff repackaged. Why would you say it like
discussing
that?
the lawsuit, Haas added a defamation claim as well. But Judge Catherine Forrest of the Southern District of New York rejected all of Haas's claims, ruling that the Kleins video constituted quintessential criticism and comment that clearly fell within the bounds of fair use.
Like, you'd want to say the video they put out is nothing but my video with a couple sprinkles on. Not, my video is reduced to nothing more than a tiny prop in their video. That makes it sound like what they were doing must be fine.
Citing the Supreme Court's ruling in Campbell versus Acuff Rose, aka the Two Live Crew case, Judge Forrest noted that lethal parody may indeed hurt demand for the original work, and the injury may even be intentional, but that does not produce a harm cognizable under the Copyright Act.
Because, I mean, imagine you play something from ad to say why a service is fucking horrible and you shouldn't use it. Imagine if that potentially causing harm to their business would mean it was wrong to have done that. Inherently. That would be fucked.
So let's run through this analysis for what XQC is doing and figure out whether he has a fair use defense or whether it's copyright infringement. Now, fair use is a legal doctrine that allows unlicensed use of copyrighted material in certain circumstances. As an affirmative defense to infringement, fair use seeks to balance the property interests of copyright holders with the public interest of encouraging freedom of expression and the wider distribution of creative works. And while fair use is decided on a case-by-case basis, there are certain enumerated activities that are laid out in the Copyright Act as potentially qualifying for fair use, and that includes criticism, commentary, news reporting, and research. And that is not an exhaustive list. And in determining whether a particular
Those are just like big, strong ones, right?
use of a copyrighted work constitutes fair use, courts will consider the following 4 factors as codified in Section 107
Oh, it's
of the
4, not
Copyright
5.
Act.
Never
And
mind.
no factor is determinative. You have to weigh every single one of them. The first factor is the purpose and character of the use, including whether the use is of a commercial nature or for a non-profit educational purpose. The second is the nature of the copyrighted work, the amount and substantiality of the portion used in relation to the copyrighted work as a whole.
That's a
and the
scary
effect
one
of
for
the
me.
use upon the
I would lose that one every time.
potential market for or value of the copyrighted work. So for the first factor, courts examine how the party claiming fair use is using the copyright.
Your Honor, I have less than 100 viewers. Please. Come on. Come on. It's like spitting in the Niagara Falls. I'm just so evil and cynical that anything I talk about, the people watching me, anything you hear me talk about, your original image of it will be totally warped in your mind. That means anything I react to is inherently transformed by my nature.
Now, parody is a little bit different. There, in an exception, you sort of need to take at least enough for people to get the joke. You have to be able to conjure up the thoughts of the original for the parody to work.
Parody has parody's trump card. All of the different pillars have their own special power. Like, parody's special power is the idea that it can't be taken that much away from the original work, because in order to get the parody, you'd have to have already consumed the original work. So for someone to appreciate that, they must have seen the original. If they want to understand the parody, they've got to go and become aware of the original. That's parody's special power, right? That they can pass that one more easily, is my understanding.
But generally speaking, for fair use, you're supposed to take the absolute minimum necessary. Now, there's a little bit of gray area in terms of what is minimum and what's not, but still, generally speaking, you're not going to be able to take the entirety of a work and simply play it in the background. And this is the heart of the criticism against XQC, namely that his reaction videos are insufficiently transformative to constitute fair use. Now, the second factor is the nature of the copyrighted work, which analyzes the degree to which the work that was used relates to the copyright purpose of encouraging creative expression. In short, the use of copyrighted material from a work of fiction weighs in favor of finding infringement, while taking from a factual work, likely a news item, is more likely to be deemed fair use.
Isn't that more about the public good and not restricting the flow of information that's in public interest? I wonder if he's going to talk about how you can pull it off. So this sets it up to never be, this sets up reaction content to be totally unacceptable. Not this point, because obviously it's just, you stop it. Yeah, Angrim, you literally just pause. But his point about how you would need future sight if you're truly reacting to cut out irrelevant parts of the video to what you're going to end up saying, because you don't know what you're going to say yet, because you don't know what you're looking at. That first point would suggest to me that you could never do it in an acceptable way as a live streamer. I wonder what he'd say. Because maybe that's correct. Maybe that is absolutely correct. However, it's like when you stream video game. The intellectual property owners could absolutely cut you off and say, no, not acceptable. And they'd probably be in the right. But it exists on the back of an understanding between people publishing things online and an understanding of the way the system works. And it's more about doing things in a way that your peers accept than the law. Because if no one ever comes after you legally, you don't have to worry about the legal side. It's not a criminal issue. The state's not going to come after you. It's if the rights owner comes after you.
And this highlights why it might actually be impossible for any live streamer to have a live stream reaction where they're just simply playing the entire video and reacting. Because there's been no forethought about what's the minimum necessary to make the point of the commentary or the point of the criticism. They're just playing the entire thing and interjecting some little bits of commentary or criticism. Yeah. But there are some live streamers who do things the right way. If you get permission or you get...
How? If you get permission or a license, fair.
Get a license from the person who owns the rights to the videos, then by all means, it's great that you are getting that permission. And
skill issue. Just do things in such a way. That they'll never claim you. Or, if you're using the entirety, make sure it's a brutal criticism that they won't want more attention drawn to. So they'd avoid kicking up a fuss because they don't want more of that kind of attention. I feel like he said it's super complex. It can't just be one or the other. And now it feels like he's put all the eggs in the basket of using the whole thing. Oh, it's hard. It's impossible, whatever. The only way to do it is to get permission. But if you get, this whole video is talking about fair use as a defense, which would mean you didn't get permission. Who are the streamers who are doing it in such a way that they could successfully defend themselves on the basis of fair use?
And then react.
That's what I would be interested in. If the answer is, oh, it's the streamers who are doing it right are the ones who got permission. Well, I was interested in fair use, considering everything we've talked about, and the streamer who got permission, fair use doesn't matter because they'd never have to defend themselves on any other basis than I have permission, surely. And that's not a fair use defense. That's something else entirely.
And if you want an example of people who do reaction content right that aren't lawyers on YouTube, there's the popular YouTuber Ludwig. Not only has he created his own video differentiating between a genuine reaction video and stolen content, he's also held in high regard among other content creators for his ethical streaming practices. In particular, he asks for permission.
Does he?
And when he reacts to a fantastic series like Jetlag, also available on Nebula.
For everything?
He continually suggests that people sign up for Nebula so they can watch Jetlag where it was originally published.
You're on Nebula. Probably mention your connection if you are.
So Ludwig is evidence that it's not impossible. And ultimately, non-transformative re-uploading of videos hurts content creators, free rides off of their hard work, and likely infringes on their IP rights.
Strongly disagree that 99% of people who are getting reacted to do not do what I would consider hard work. Not that what I do is either, but it's an exaggeration. Anyway.
If these videos are re-uploaded in their entirety, it should be left up to the original content creator to approve or reject it. And remember, there's a super easy way to get around this. Just ask permission from the original content creator.
True.
Though in defense of live streaming reaction videos, Hassan Abi said, quote, 90%.
There's this, but then what if it's an important political event where there's value in a rapidly emerging situation? There's value, the speed with which it's done. It's too complex for the way he's presented it, I feel.
Of creators don't mind. They like it when we're watching their videos. I'm a content creator and I love it when people react to my videos.
Because I don't think this is even touched on the streamers who are doing things for, say, public interest purposes or even educational purposes. Right. This, sure, 99% of the React content on YouTube or Twitch is going to be for pure entertainment purposes, right? It's going to be someone looking at something that's fun to watch on its own and then trying to add their own spin to it. No real utility to it. However, well, that seems fine to say, always ask, always be safe, always ask, always be safe. What if it's someone of great influence has put something out, and the purpose of you showing it to people is commentary or criticism that is in the public interest to get out there, and you really need to show their shit to do it? And if you were to go on the back, if you were to go by the standard of, oh, I need to get permission, that would mean whoever this actor is has complete control over how they're represented by anyone who wants to use evidence of what they've done. That's fucked. That's fucked. Hopefully he says something about this. The advice to streamers is just ask permission. There are instances where that doesn't make sense, is simply all I'm saying. As a blanket advice. That advice, while yes, for everyone it works to guarantee you're going to be safe, sometimes doing the right thing means you can't guarantee you're going to be safe. So it's good advice to one kind of streamer who wants to be safe. Other kinds of streamers, to follow that advice would mean undermining their own purpose and not serving the public.